Okay. Welcome, everybody. I'm Mary Pat O'Neill, and this is Mapping Your High School Journey, picking classes in high school. This is always a very popular session that we do. Happy January, as it's the new year and time to be thinking about the new school year. My name, as I said, is Mary Pat O'Neill. I created the Find Your Fit program through the Lake Washington Schools Foundation. I'm always so grateful that they give us this opportunity to speak to families. I'm joined by one of my favorite people, Taylor Rule. Taylor, you want to just give a brief intro on yourself?
Like Mary Pat said, I'm Taylor Rule. I'm not going to say veteran. I am a long-standing counselor within the school district. I have been at three of the four comprehensive high schools at this point, and I'm happy to be here.
And I appreciate you giving up your time. The last time we did this, I was teasing Taylor. She had her children were literally sitting underneath her desk as we did this. So
We're all
anyway,
around. It was a noisy endeavor.
it was. So, all right. Well, here we go. We've frozen my screen is frozen as always. Try this again. Okay. All right. All right. So, just some logistics for tonight. This webinar is being recorded. The recording, along with the slides, will be sent out to everybody who registered. Our goal, because we know families will be signing up for classes in the near future, our goal is to have it sent out by tomorrow, which is Wednesday night. I do not send it out. Taylor does not send it out. The foundation sends it out. Sometimes things happen, so but check your emails. And Taylor and I will be taking questions at the end. If a question is asked about material that we covered tonight, we're just going to skip the question. We're not going to repeat it. As I said, you get the recording. Um, and while this is obviously a Lake Washington School District information, we'll be looking at course catalogs, which are Lake Washington. The material here today, I'd say, is fairly applicable to other school districts. Would you agree, Taylor?
Yeah, I would say a majority of it. Our neighboring districts were fairly aligned with Issaquah, Bellevue, and North Shore.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So tonight, what we're going to be talking about is we're going to talk about high school graduation requirements along with college requirements. We're going to briefly talk about what colleges look at when they're looking at applications regarding the transcript. I'm going to touch briefly on specific college majors and what type of classes colleges might be looking for. We're going to pull up a course catalog and show you how to read it, also how to use the planner, other types of classes offered through the district. We're going to talk about the topic of high school classes taken in middle school. We're going to also talk about retaking classes, changing schedules, and then, as I said, we'll be taking questions. And just know, so I am a college counselor. I do not work for the school district. I am not a school counselor. I have so much respect for school counselors. Taylor is a school counselor. She is not a college counselor. So we come from different perspectives, and there are certain things we don't always agree on. And I think that's okay because this is not a one size fits all process. There's certain things like graduation requirements are graduation requirements, but there are other things, we can, ultimately people have to make the decision that is right for them. And if you've attended any Find Your Fit sessions before, you know that I always talk about my response to many questions is it depends. Okay. So with what we cover tonight is it's going to depend on the student. It's going to depend on the college. It's going to depend on the situation. So please know that none of this is black and white. Teenagers are works in progress, and we need to be flexible with this. So. Oh dear heavens, why is that? Sorry, I apologize. I don't know why
Keeping it interesting.
yes,
Just
well, just
keep going.
proving that I can do this. Okay. Um, did I do this right? Oh, sorry. Okay, there we go. Okay. So, Taylor, walk us through. So in the state of Washington, these are the graduation requirements.
These are.
So why don't
Um,
you go through them with us?
Absolutely. Some of them are fairly, I mean, they're all pretty
Yeah.
actually straightforward. English, you've got 4 credits of that, English 9, 10, 11, and 12. Science, we have 3 credits that are required. 2 must be lab sciences. What's beautiful is most of our lab sciences and our core lab sciences that are offered at all of the high schools in our district are science or lab-based sciences. Math, 3 credits. That's 3 years. Every credit is the equivalent to a year. World languages, 2 credits must be in the same language. We can talk, my guess would be later at some point about the language credits from a language test. Social studies, 3 credits. This is a combination. There's actually been interesting state updates on that one. Art, 2 credits. I'm going to come back to this PPR. PE, a year and a half, so 1.5 credits. Health, it's a standalone 0.5. CTE credits, 1.0, 1 year credit, and then 4 electives. This totals 24 credits. As you guys all know, we moved to a 6 period schedule this year, which means that you need every single credit of every single class that you are in for your 4 years of high school.
Yep.
That PPR, that's called a personal pathway. This state allows for a personal pathway, which means that you are still required to take these credits. They just might be allotted or assigned to a different subject category. That would be something that your student can decide to do, either with
Can you give
world
an
language
example
or
of
with
that?
art. Um, yeah, like for example, world language, if we have a student who, I will say that world language with a graduation requirement, most, if not all 4 year universities require 2 years of
Mhm.
a language, consecutive language. What that means is if you decide that you don't want to take world language and you opt for the PPR for world language, it does default to making it so that your pathway is going to be a community college. That does not mean that you can't find your way to a 4 year university after 2 years there. Maybe you take language there. But what that does mean is that that is a default where it will be needing to do a start at a community college level because you will need that world language requirement. For art, it is a state absolute that you must take 1 year of art. Absolutely. There can be a personal pathway that you get approved in order for that 1.0, that second credit, to be allotted in a different subject. So that would mean maybe you decide that you would like your my gosh, I was working on it today. What's I would say that let's say that you wanted to have 1 more year of anatomy and physiology, that wasn't going to fit in your schedule otherwise, and you're a senior and you were like, oh my gosh, I really want to take this because now I know this is my pathway. We can reassign that credit to a subject that will serve you for your intended degree when you're a senior.
Okay. Um, all right. And then you want to talk about the grad
Yes.
pathway?
I will talk about grad pathway and high school and beyond plan. These are both additional state graduation requirements. I'm gonna, oh, that's cute. Oh, I think I made this.
Yeah, you did.
I did. I was like, oh, look at that. So grad pathway options, a lot of students meet this and they don't even know that they've met it. The easiest, maybe not the easiest, that's not the word the swiftest way and the most, unintentional way that students meet this is actually by sitting for the math and the English SBA. If you pass at a specific threshold, so if you look at the state assessment at the very top, it'll say your ELA score of, um, ooh, too close, 2,548. If you meet that threshold or higher, what means is that you do not have to sit for the exam again. You've met your grad pathway in your ELA. This will actually show up also in Skyward under student and parent access. You can see your state testing scores. If you're every single student in our district, when they are a 10th grader, they will sit for the SBA. Please have your student sit for the SBA because it can meet your state graduation requirement by the grad pathway. And like I said, it's the easiest, less fussed way to make that happen. You can also do that doing a dual credit class. Like I said, on here, it's got AP or Cambridge scoring. Your SAT or your ACT scores, I would say that I see that probably the least.
Okay.
Also with like the ASVAB scoring, I would say most common is probably with state assessment. or dual credit classes, and the CTE sequence. That's the one that I see the most often. CTE sequence is just a sequence of classes that are interest based for students that meet your career in tech ed. And then, oh, by the way, also meet your grad pathway.
Or students could take advanced placement tests, it looks like, certain
They
ones.
can do, yes, they can do all of those. But I would say, like I said, typically you've already met it.
Yeah.
So I don't see those as frequently.
Okay.
Usually it's like I said, it's state assessment. Have your student sit for the SBA. It matters.
Okay. That's good to hear. Because I always see on the Facebook page people trying to not do it. Um, do you need
High
anything
school
with
and
Zello?
yeah, a high school and beyond plan, another state requirement. Zello is something that students, it has, it's an online platform that is actually a really cool tool if utilized by students, utilized well. It there's individual assignments that students will start in about eighth grade, actually. The state is moving to a universal platform. What that means is that the entire state of Washington will be using the same high school and beyond plan platform. It should be in place by next year. So students are using Zello now. They are familiar with it. They have used it for quite some time, but it is going to change platforms as of next year.
Okay.
It's
And
embedded into homerooms, hang time, Mustang pride time. Like it's embedded in all of those times. So it's
okay.
not anything additional outside of.
And is this found on Skyward or is it
Not, it's on its own
okay.
platform, but students can
Okay.
do it. They can access it during via ClassLink. It's all
Oh,
listed in there.
okay. And they're told about it, I'm assuming.
Yep. And which lessons we walk through it with students. It's nothing big. It's not a heavy lift at all. It's supposed to be helpful.
Okay. And just
Yep.
helping them figure out what they want to do.
Yeah. And I mean, like, what's neat is I've got a lot of seniors that are surprised when they end up doing it because they're like, oh, I didn't know it was going to give me like a full resume at the end. You
Yeah.
can like print out an actual resume to take out and about.
Yeah.
Um, it also has some really cool college search. It has some really, really great post high school planning modules, some aptitude testing stuff. It's interesting. Like I said, it's worthy of exploration. It's worthy of use.
Good. Good to hear
Yeah.
that. Okay. So a term you may hear is the term CADR, which stands for College Academic Distribution Requirements. If you were to look at the University of Washington's website and pull up freshman requirements, they'll talk about the CADR requirements. They pretty much match up identically with what the state graduation requirements are, but in case you see that term, I just want to let you know what that means. So, from a college counseling standpoint, I always just want to caution families that sometimes university systems require a specific set of courses to be completed in high school to be eligible to enter a four-year college or specific major. Um, some examples of this, there are some colleges that require students have completed calculus in order to go into an engineering program. And so for the most part, again, our graduation requirements work great, but you can always check a college's website. You can look at a specific major. If you can't figure it out, you can reach out to the admissions office and say, "Hey, I'm a student in Washington State thinking about becoming a biology major or whatever. Are there any specific class requirements?" And you can find that out. And I showed this. So this there's a great website called College Data. I'm always referencing it. And
Too. I love it.
colleges can they not all schools, but a lot do. So this is UCLA, part of the University of California system. And I do want to point out um, uh, Taylor had mentioned the arts situation. So for the University of California system, they do require a year of art that is the same. So what that means is you could take piano for a year, piano one, piano two. You could take Arts Foundation. It's a full year class. What they don't like to see is ceramics for a semester and photography for a semester. They want to see a full year, so just keep that in mind. Anyways,
Sequential art.
I'm sorry, what?
They call it sequential art.
Thank you.
Yep.
So this here shows. what is required by UCLA as far as the English math, and it looks very, very similar to what we have. Then they have the recommended. Now, again, it's not required, but it's recommended. So you can see they like to see 4 years of math. They like to see 3 years of science. Again, we require 3 years of science too, but they require to. So just know that this information can be helpful. I don't really like ninth graders thinking about what colleges that they're going to go to. I think it's a little early, but just know that if there's a family legacy or something that you're trying to do and you want to find out, you can look at that. Now, when colleges are looking at students' applications, there are five possible things that colleges are going to ask for. One, and when I say possible, there are colleges that only want one, there are colleges that want five, and there's colleges that want every number in between. The one that is always required is going to be the student transcript, and which is why we're talking about classes today. And it makes sense that this is important and always required because it's a track record. It shows what a student's potential is, what they're capable of doing. Some colleges want standardized test scores. High school activities is another important piece. Some colleges want letters of recommendation from high school teachers, counselors, etc. And some colleges require college essays. So I'm not going to go into depth on that, but I just want you to know there is more, in most cases, more than just the transcript that colleges want to know. Now, when it comes to grade point average, GPA, in Washington State, public high schools use an unweighted GPA. We use a 4.0 scale, all right? Most colleges, not all, because remember, it depends. Most colleges start calculating the GPA in ninth grade. Now, college applications are submitted in the fall of senior year, in November typically. Students will not have any senior year grades, all right? So they ask on those applications, what is your cumulative GPA? It's going to be through the end of junior year. Students will fill out whatever that number is that's on their unofficial transcript, which can be found on Skyward. They're going to fill out that number, whatever it is. It'll be a 4.0 or below. And then there's two boxes, and it says, is this a weighted GPA or is it an unweighted? You have to say unweighted because that's what our transcript shows. All a weighted GPA is for classes of rigor, which we will be talking about. These could be advanced placement classes, they could be international baccalaureate classes, they could be honors classes, they could be UW in the classroom classes. They they bump up the GPA, but we don't do that. Okay, so you don't need to worry about weighted or unweighted. We're unweighted. Um, Colleges, again, it depends on the college. They can do things differently. If a college when they get a student's transcript, they can choose to wait. That can be their methodology. And if they do it for everybody. So you don't have to worry about it, but just know we use an unweighted. And FYI, in case you're a junior and you're thinking, great, I don't have to worry about senior year classes or grades. Yes, you do. They catch up with you, and we'll talk about that. And I constantly have this conversation with students about the fact that in Lake Washington, we have A's, which is a 90 to 100. There's no A pluses, there's an A. And the minute a student gets to an 89.99, it becomes a B plus. Love a B plus. Nothing wrong with a B plus. Celebrate the B plus. Okay, we'll talk more about that later. However, it is a zero point 0.7 drop in GPA because a B plus is a 3.3. Again, nothing wrong with that. But students, if your parents, if it's like 6 weeks before the end of a semester, pay attention to that. And if there's little things students can do, like, oh, I've got missing assignments, or what, maybe I can do extra credit. No one should expect teachers to round up.
Attend class, just attending.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think, no, quite frankly, I think it's turning in assignments. I talk to a lot a lot
Yeah,
of students.
coming
Turn
to
in your
class.
assignments, people.
Mm.
Anyways, and again, there's nothing wrong with a B plus. I just say this because sometimes students are surprised at D, 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 D. It all can add up over time. And then I show this, and then we'll go on to other things. But this is a breakdown of admitted student GPA at the University of Washington, Seattle. And you can see that 75% of admitted students have an unweighted GPA of a 3.75 or higher. 93% have a 3.5 or higher. So if you keep getting B pluses, you're going to have a 3.3. Again, nothing wrong with that. But if UW is your end all be all, it's going to be tough. So that's why I say that. Um, okay, so let's talk about a counselor recommendation. Taylor, tell us what it is. How does a student get it? Students often say to me, I don't know my counselor, type thing. So,
Well, so two different things. First of all, I hope they know their counselor. I think what I have really found over the years is that transition from middle to high school. It just looks so different. Middle school counselor relationship to high school counselor relationship. And I've had more freshmen actually coming and initiating conversation than I think I have in all of my many years, and it's refreshing. It's lovely. So I would highly recommend your freshmen coming and meeting your counselor. We will have each other for 4 years. I say
don't
that
they
often to
change them a
students.
lot, though?
What's that?
No offense. I just seem to remember, and my kids have been out for a long time out of the high school, but it seems like they change them a lot. Like, oh, all of a sudden I have somebody else.
Times, yeah. I mean, life happens to counselors, right? Like just like anybody,
Yeah,
just
right.
like teachers. You know, babies happen, lives happen, moves happen,
Yeah,
all of the things. Sometimes the our alpha breakdown changes just a
yeah.
little bit every year. The reason is that we can't have it that one counselor has 325 students on their caseload and then the other one has 375. That
Right.
makes a
Gotcha.
huge difference for our timing.
Sure.
And so making sure that we do make it equitable to our students. So
Okay.
yes, it does change.
But the goal is to have you for 4 years. That's what you're
Yes,
saying.
that
Yes.
is the goal.
Okay.
And we want that as much as you guys do. So I would say counselor recommendation actually starts with Common App. So Common App is an online platform that
Hmm.
most colleges utilize.
Hmm.
Gone are the days where we would apply by hand or by individual application. It's all collected on this one platform. Within that, there are specific pieces of information that all schools will access. Students will put in their name, their address, things of that sort that are all everybody wants that. And then they'll have specific things for those specific colleges. Included in that would be a counselor recommendation. Now, often students get confused between a counselor recommendation and a counselor letter of recommendation. Those are two very separate things. Every single Common App, every single college application requires a counselor recommendation. It is a real silly, silly word that they choose to use. I wish they didn't, but I'm not entirely sure I know what the word would be instead. But in that counselor recommendation, you will add your counselor's email, and we send the colleges our school profile, which gives information all about our school, about the courses that we offer, about the history of our school, what programs do we offer to give context to the student's application. Um, we also add in there, they'll ask about what courses are they taking? How well do you know this student? What does this look like? Can you add a copy of their transcript? Every counselor will add a copy of your student's transcript. We confirm whether or not the information that they provided was accurate. We also give them a copy, they require a copy of your senior schedule. So what Mary Pat was saying is your senior year counts. Boy, does it. They ask for a copy of your schedule. And if there are any changes in your
Hmm.
schedule, we have to report that to the college. So we send them another copy of the schedule and then provide context if we have it of why you've dropped it for a TA position or why you now only have, all PE classes for semester two. So we have to
Don't do
make,
that.
don't do that. But we provide those as counselors. Now, that's the counselor recommendation. Specific colleges might also ask for a counselor letter of recommendation, which is just like any other letter of recommendation that you might seek from a teacher, from a coach, from an outside support, doesn't matter, but we're all in that letter of recommendation. What that means is that is a totally separate, you can still request that of your counselor, but not all colleges require it.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Thank
those are the
you.
differences. Yes.
And I love that you encourage students to make an appointment and get to know their counselor. Because I've
Yes,
I've always
please.
found the counselors to be awesome. So
Yeah,
at all
and
the
we're not
schools.
scary. Like we're super fun and we want to know about the good stuff. We also are here for the cry. Like if you want to do that, like we can do that too. But you will need us. No matter what, your college application will go through us. That is an absolute, and I can guarantee you,
Yep.
you will need us.
So Taylor mentioned the high school report. And what is typically in there, they're going to talk about the size of the school, the demographics, which includes the percentage of students who receive free and reduced lunch. They're going to talk about the graduation rate, like what percentage of students go on to a four-year college, a two-year college, enter the military. They're going to talk about the average ACT and SAT scores of students, and then they're going to talk about the classes of rigor. And as Taylor said earlier, when a college requires this, it is never sent by a family or a student. It is sent by the school counselor. Now, these are available online in our district. I like to call out Redmond because I think they've got one of the nicest ones. Theirs is very organized, whoever does it. But you can look up your school report. It's all available. Okay, so let's talk about rigor classes. So on that school report, they will list the classes of rigor that a high school offers. And I always want to emphasize this, we are in a wonderful school district. We have a lot of choice schools and lots of opportunities for families. All of our schools are very strong, all our high schools. So I'll use Eastlake as an example. That's where my kids went. And so for showing the classes of rigor available at Eastlake, it would start with the honors classes. Next, it would be UW in the classroom courses, and then it would be the AP or advanced placement classes, and they list them all. And I don't know how many that there are. I should have looked, but I don't. There's a lot. Okay. And so what a college does when they're looking at a student's transcript, they say, okay, what is offered at this high school? What has the student taken? And the reason why they do that is, as I said, it depends, it depends, it depends. It depends on the high school. So we happen to be in a very strong school district, wonderful public high schools, lots of opportunities for students in a wide variety. But there are students in the state of Washington who don't have access to a regular calculus class, let alone an AP calculus or an AP bio or anything like that. They just don't have it. And colleges do not penalize students for not taking classes that aren't offered. So sometimes I'll see, oh, should we move to a different school district? Should we try to do something to get into this choice school? No, they just want to see what has the student done with the opportunities. Now, rigor, and the reason why colleges like to see rigor is they want to see, is the student capable of doing the harder work? Okay. Now, if you see this picture, it's a balanced picture. Okay. And I feel very, very strongly about this. So students should challenge themselves to the best of their ability while maintaining strong grades and having margin for health in other areas of their lives. That to me is so important. I'm always on the Facebook page for the district, and a parent today had asked about, hearing that everybody's taking 15 AP classes. And I got to tell you, I get sick to my stomach personally when I hear that, and I know that there are some students who do that. I would never, as a college counselor, I would never recommend that to anybody. It is unhealthy. Um, I firmly believe that students should push themselves in the areas that interest them. So
Yes.
if I was a high school student, I'd be taking AP Lit, I'd be taking AP Lang, probably A Push. I'd be the humanities kid because that's the kind of stuff that I like. I remember my daughter when she was at Eastlake, she would have loved to have like she would have loved an A Push class or something like that. But she danced 15 hours a week. So she was taking AP Calc and AP Chem and whatever. And between that, like that's all she did. And and I talked about the other parts of the college application, those activities, they're important for a lot of reasons. And our poor kids, if they're taking 5 or 6 AP classes, and then they're trying to do this other stuff.
Oh my God.
I get emails from my students at 2:30 in the morning. Now I'm not seeing them because I'm sound asleep, but I see them the next morning, and it just makes me want to cry because there's no there's no reason. There's please there's and and parents, and I'm trying not to get into the weeds today, but teenagers' brains aren't formed, and they have a lot of peer pressure. And the kids tell me all the time, my friends make fun of me if I'm not doing whatever, they're all feeling like they all have to do this. And parents will say, well, I knew it was too much, but they wanted to do it. So I just please ask, um, please don't do that to your kids. It's not healthy, and it's not going to change anything. So I don't know, Taylor, I'm trying not to be editorializing, but this is the one I always,
Oh, Mary Pat, this is where you and I are on the same wavelength. I mean, I've been saying this for years. I have very, very large concerns for students who are over extenuating themselves. And that's really what's happening. They're overextending themselves. They're making it so that they're just having a really challenging time managing themselves. And we're not talking like just little like low grade managing. We're talking like in general. And they're overwhelmed. They come into my office and they are just so sad and
yeah.
so sad. Um, it breaks my heart. I get the same emails in the middle of the night that are, oh my gosh, I need this before I forget, and I need to do this, and I was finishing all my studying, and I'm like, it's 3 in the morning. You're finishing studying? Oh
Mhm.
my goodness gracious! So, I I would say more than often than not, what I'm hearing is yes, that I need to do it because so and so's family friend said that I can't get into anything if I don't do this prescribed thing. And the sense of relief when I'm like, oh, friend, I'm the one who's talking to colleges. That's not
Yeah,
necessary.
right,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's not so and so's friend's neighbor, whoever this is. Me, I am
Yeah.
talking to them. This is not necessary. You have got to chill. So I would just say, parents, pay attention. Sometimes your parenting's not over. And so if you have a junior who is saying, I need to take these, and even if they really, really want to, it might be your call to say, actually, I'm going to tell you no.
Hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
going to tell you no because you still need to learn appropriate boundaries. How
Yeah.
much is too much? You might need to say no.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right, enough of the lecturing, but please,
No, no,
please,
please,
please.
please.
Now, some colleges will consider something that's called fit to major. And what that means is, so many colleges either place freshmen directly into a college major, or they use the information in making the admission process. So, like, I don't know, 4 years ago, computer science was very, very, very popular. It's not so much anymore because of tech downturn and artificial intelligence and all that stuff like that. But so sometimes students would say, uh, I'm going to be a linguistics major, but they really wanted to be computer science, but they knew that computer science had a 5% acceptance rate or something like that. And so just colleges they take a look at the classes that a student has taken, they look at the activities, and they see is there a match type of a thing. If um, a student who's been in student government and maybe is in speech and debate, and then all of a sudden says they want to, they've taken AP Gov and all these different things, all of a sudden says they want to be an engineer. Again, I'm not saying it can't happen, but they might question it because it doesn't match up to what the application is showing. And I'm just going to real briefly go through this as far as a couple different specific majors, things that colleges may be looking at. And again, these are questions you can always ask a college, but for students who are interested in pre-med path, their goal is to go into medical school after undergraduate. They like to see the math, 4 years, including calculus. Does not have to be AP. It could just be regular calculus. They want to see the 4 years of science, and they like to see strong communication skills with the English classes. Computer science majors, again, the 4 years of math, 4 years of science. They do like to see AP physics, and then obviously any computer science classes offered. We are doing so well here, and then I don't know what happens. Okay. All right. Oops, I think I skipped one. Nursing, again, 4 years of math. Now you don't need to do calculus for nursing, but they do like to see statistics. Again, they want to see strong science, the 4 years of science, and they do like to see anatomy and physiology if it's offered. Engineering, again, 4 years of math, including stats and calculus, physics, computer science, and then if a school offers any engineering classes. And then when it comes to business, again, we're going back to the math because business is very math oriented. Strong writing skills, if there's business classes, and then computer science. And then a student interested in architecture, again, the 4 years of math, English, studio art, and physics. And you may need a portfolio for architecture. All right. So we are going to go into a course catalog. I've chosen Eastlake. Now let's see if um,
You can go on all of the high school websites.
yes.
If you, it might be housed in a few different spaces, but typically it's under counseling and it will just be a course catalog tab. You
Yeah.
could also go on the district website and just go up to the tab where it says students and family. There's a little drop down on there and it'll have, I want to say it was like high school planning, I want to say is what it was. If you click on that, it then has the course catalog link to every school.
Okay. I was having a hard time, so I just typed in Eastlake High School course
You can
catalog.
do that
I
too.
got this.
Yep, you can absolutely do that too. What's nice is it's all divided by each school and then
Mhm.
by subject area.
So right here, you can click down and it shows you all courses, CTE, English, fine arts, etc. So I'm just looking at English here. And I like here, this shows you the progression of classes, which I think is very interesting. So remember, English is one of the graduation requirements. Students need 4 years. So ninth,
Pat,
what?
do you have it pulled up right now?
Oh, are you not showing that?
It's
Okay.
not showing for me.
Okay. Then it's not showing. Okay, let me see here.
Looks like there's some other people's
Yeah, okay.
who can, maybe some who
Okay.
can't.
Okay. Let me see. Maybe. Are you seeing Eastlake High School or no?
I'm not, but I don't need
Okay.
to. It's just if
No,
somebody
okay.
reminds it.
I don't, okay. Well, that's a technology thing. Can you pull it up on yours and maybe share? Can you pull up a course catalog?
I'm not a presenter on here.
Oh, you're not. Okay.
I'm not.
I wonder,
So,
I wonder
well,
why.
I mean, we can walk them through. Honestly, if you pull it up,
Okay. I apologize, everybody. It
yeah,
shows up on my screen and I think I'm sharing, so my apologies.
if you do pull that one up, what's lovely is, like I said, on the right-hand side of the screen, it has a drop down of all of the subjects that are within subject categories in that school. You can click on any of them and it will narrow it down of like all social studies credits.
Let me see if I let me try something here.
Oh, you know what? Oh, thank you for sharing the course catalog link in there, whoever did that. Oh,
Is
I can see it. I can see it.
okay,
I don't
I
know if
pulled it
anybody
up.
else can.
I didn't realize that. I thought because I did have the link in my PowerPoint, and I thought when I clicked on it, it would. Okay. Anyways, here we go.
Beautiful. There we
Okay.
go.
Thank you. Sorry, guys. Um, so this is the English arts, but you can there's the pull down. You can see any um, areas you want. This just shows the. Are you seeing this, Taylor? The
Yep.
progression guide. Okay.
Yes. Yep.
So, so 9, 10, 11, 12, or students can take the 8 advanced placement classes. Now, there are certain classes like film as literature, public speaking. Well, those are English classes. They don't count toward graduate the English graduation requirement. They count for elective courses. So,
If what you were saying previously, Mary Pat, about really building a transcript that tells a story. If you have a student who is really interested in doing something that is writing heavy, going into a career pathway that is those English electives would be lovely. Those would
Yeah.
complement a transcript wonderfully.
Hmm.
It's just the 9, 10, 11, 12 specific English classes. Those are meeting your state graduation requirements.
Yes. And so when let's see, if I click on English 12 on the little caret here, you can see it's got a description. It shows the graduation requirement that this is for 12th grade English. The cater, remember, this is an English requirement, and then it shows the prerequisites, which is none. So um, some classes, particularly the occupational or the CTE classes, those, correct me if I'm wrong, Taylor, but those can often meet two requirements,
Yeah,
correct?
they can be counted. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Um, Most of our CTE, so our career and tech ed classes, they will meet that requirement for subject specific requirements for graduation. And they can also check a box for art. So let me give you an example, like our photography one class. That will meet a zero point 0.5 for art, and that will also meet a zero point 0.5 for CTE. It doesn't give you credit twice. So you
Right.
don't get credit twice, which is very, very confusing because you see that lovely little category that says dual college credit or dual credit or CTE grad pathway. It's often called a dual credit course, which is confusing because you don't get credit twice. You're just counting it into subject areas.
Right. But you can check the box twice for graduation requirements, but you only get the one credit.
Correct. And when
Right.
you utilize Skyward Online as a high school student, when you go to your graduation requirements, most of your classes are already set up so that they will mark both of those boxes so you
Okay.
can track your graduation. Again, you don't get credit twice, but it can mark off both of those subject requirement
Right.
boxes.
It's similar. If a student were to retake a class and it shows up twice on their transcript, they only get the credit once, right?
Yeah. You can only take a class once
Right. But I
for
mean, if
credit.
a student retook it, yeah, for credit. So even though they took it twice and they can say, well, that should be two credits, it's only one or half a credit, whatever it is. Okay. Anyways, so that's how the course catalog works. So I'm gonna go back to our PowerPoint. Glad we figured that out. Okay. And now it's frozen again. If anybody's good at
Love
this
it.
and they want to reach out to me and tell me what the heck I'm doing wrong, I thought I'd
Help, help.
I thought I had solved this problem. It used to be if I moved the screen at all, it would, oh, for heaven's sake. Oh, dear heavens. I don't know what's going on here. Okay. Okay.
While we're reading,
Yeah.
I just saw one question that just popped up. It said, is there any way for us to get a recording? Yes, this entire presentation is being recorded. Lake Washington Schools Foundation, for anybody who signed up for this webinar, will then send you the webinar. The hope is by tomorrow,
Yep.
but life might happen. I would assume that by the end of the week.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for that. So this is the planner that students have access to, right? I'll let you talk about it. I I like planning, okay? But the thing I always want to caution about, so there's certain things like math, and we'll talk more about math, but there's a math track. Like once you're on that math track, you're on the track. And like in the English classes and like there's certain things you have to take. I don't
I
like uh,
Oh, go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say, I don't like these to be like rigid and in cement because our teens are changing and experiencing, and like a student might take a class ninth grade and say, "Oh my gosh, I just discovered I really like I want to be in school plays," type thing, or I discovered that I really enjoy biology and I want to take this biotechnology. Like so just be careful about too rigid of a plan, but I'm all for planning because if there's prerequisites and things like that, obviously you need to pay attention to that. I'm not saying don't plan, but I don't know. You're the expert though, Taylor, so
And I mean, I'm right there with you. I mean, I would say utilize this if you'd like. Use pencil.
yeah.
Um, you know, I mean, the thing is there are some people who love to just have a visual, right? And that's great. Like, have yourself a visual, knowing that this is likely, if not, please encourage it to change. It should change. I hope that your interest gets a little bit more specific as you progress from ninth to 12th grade. I hope you learn about what you're interested in, or equally valuable, what you're less interested in. Maybe you started
hmm
that biotech class and you were like, guess what? Not interested in this
hmm
actually. I want to go explore this other thing.
Yeah.
I
hmm
hope that you take advantage of that, because that's when you're supposed to be doing it. You are supposed to be looking at this. You're trying to narrow down so that the bigger decision of where do I go next has some focus.
Right.
So I hope that you do. Obviously, there's some stuff that is just requirement. We want to make sure that you know how to write a paper before you graduate high school.
Yeah.
Those kind of things, but use this for what it is and be willing to recycle it, erase it, try it again.
Yeah.
It's scratch paper.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
All right. So how do you plan? So let's start with ninth grade. So it is a huge transition to go from middle school to high school. And for the most part, the college transcript is starting, the transcript for college is starting and you want to have a strong foundation. So do I whenever I get reached out by eighth grade families about, talking about college, and my response is most ninth graders really don't want to talk about it. Parents might want to, and that's fine, but most ninth graders aren't interested. They're trying to figure out where their locker is and all that sort of stuff. But do well in classes, okay? That get good study habits, strong organizational skills, turn in your homework on time, don't retake tests, just, get things done, get things
You're
done
frozen.
properly.
You're frozen, Mary Pat.
Oh, I am? Oh. Can you hear me, Taylor? Uh, can you hear me,
Oh, you're
Taylor?
unstable.
Oh, is it? You can hear me? Oh, you can't see me? Oh, I'm not getting a notice. Oh,
You're kind of in and out.
okay. Darn it.
Oh, there
Um,
you go. There you go.
okay.
I
Maybe
mean, you're frozen,
I am still.
but I can
Am
hear
I?
you a little better.
Okay. Am I still
Yeah.
frozen? Um, okay.
Perfect. Carry on.
Okay.
I
Okay.
can hear you and I can see you.
Okay. All right. I don't know what gremlins we've got working on here today. Um, okay. Okay. Sorry. This has been the most convoluted,
Okay.
not
We're
normal.
talking about, though, rigor for ninth grade. I will say,
Yeah.
from a high school counselor perspective, I would say that ninth graders, gosh, I love a ninth grader. They're so excited and they're so nervous. It's a competition. Who's more nervous, parent or ninth grader? And I feel you. I have a seventh grader. The idea, I was literally talking to one of my APs today, and he was like, yeah, your boy's going to be here in a year and a half. And I was like, ooh, feels a little too soon. So I'm in that nervousness. It feels weird. I would say the biggest opportunity ninth grade years would be learning soft skills. That's my number one. How to talk to a teacher, how to email a teacher independently that maybe is not coached by your parent, you reaching out, staying after to ask for help or clarification, how to sign up to see your counselor, not waiting until the week of finals to seek support. Those are the kind of things that we really work with our ninth graders, of trying to make sure that they can do self advocacy. I don't know you're in trouble until you tell me that you're in trouble. Give me a heads up, then I can be helpful. Um, I would say academically, there isn't a huge amount of um, it's pretty standard. There's not a lot of, they can't register for 6 AP classes. So you don't have to worry about that because it's not available to them.
Right.
So that one is not something that you need to worry so much. And so it's really getting the adjustment to the next 4 years, the permanency of the transcript, the soft skills in order to be successful in those classes.
Mhm. Yeah, and again, if you want to take an honors class or something like that, and if it interests you, if you're a kid who says, "Oh, can't stand history or whatever," don't take honors history then. Have a
That's
strong.
okay.
Yeah.
It's totally fine.
All right, then 10th grade, again, keep exploring your interests. Maybe think about increasing rigor a little bit. How was ninth grade? Were you stressed out? Did you never have time to hang out with your friends or just to chill? Think about the prerequisites. Are you doing activities? Some students, do things like robotics or uh, DECA, things like that, and it takes up a lot of time. So pay attention to that because you need that balance. And junior year, this is typically the most challenging year for a student. And again, as I said earlier, it's the last full year of grades that a college is going to see when the student is applying to college. Focus on your interests, what you plan to study, work on having a healthy balance of coursework, extracurriculars, and rest too. That's so important. And then senior year, oh, Taylor, did you have anything to say about 10th or 11th? I apologize.
Oh, no, that's okay. I would say that 10th grade actually is, I look at high school actually as ninth, 10th, and 11th. So 10th grade to me is the middle one. It's the
Mhm.
one where you're no longer the newbies, but you're not on your way out. And so you got a little bit of bravado to you. You're feeling comfortable. You know your way around now. The nervousness is settled. But I think that oftentimes that's when we see students being like, hey, reminder, we're here for school. Come on. Like, we're here for school. Reminding students, I love the confidence that they build when they're in 10th grade because they no longer look worried. Like, I don't know where my class is, or I mean, I would say this because our schedule is cuckoo cuckoo. Oh my gosh, where do I go now? Like, fourth period again? What are you talking about? Like, so I mean, there's a lot of scheduling stuff. 12th grade for me is like a standalone because I feel like it is a totally different realm. Senioritis
Mhm.
is real.
It is.
It's very, very real. And I don't discount it for students. They put in so much work. They are hard workers. And this is a lot. It will never be actually this hard for them ever again. Even when they're in college, they
Mhm.
will never take 6 classes simultaneously. That's just not what it looks like. So their management is a lot. And so
Mhm.
they're tired. And I get that. Um, Junior year is tricky. It's like you kick it into gear and it's like all of a sudden there's a realization like, ooh, I have one more year after this.
Yeah, there's an
Okay.
end game. Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. Gotta focus a little bit differently. Yeah.
Well, and I always tell seniors I mean, obviously you have to meet your graduation requirements, but most students are pretty on track at that point. So, and and obviously, still take some rigor classes, but please don't do the six. I have a senior who chose to do six AP classes this year, and it's hasn't been a pleasant process for
Oh my
them.
gosh.
I was like, well, I didn't certainly didn't tell you to do that, but college applications are due in November, and the applications aren't easy, but it's the essays in particular that I mean, I have some students who can have 20 to 45 essays that they have to write, and they're all due at the same time. So take that into account. And then it's funny because it's almost the end of the first semester, and I always send something out to seniors, and I'll be like, hey, end of first semester's coming. So there's a lot of colleges who will ask school counselors, please send us the report card from first semester. But as you mentioned, there are a lot of kids who'd be like, yeah, I'm going to drop these classes that I've been taking. And if first of all, if you are going to be a senior and you plan to drop classes, you have to notify colleges of any changes to your schedule. And colleges can say, you know what, we've changed our mind about you. So,
Yeah.
um, so do well.
Always,
Again,
yeah. I mean,
a B's not gonna rescind anything, but other lower grades could rescind your offer of admission. So be careful with senior year.
I would echo what you're saying. I would say that most comprehensive high schools are no longer doing schedule changes at the semester. There's a lot that are getting much more. We just don't have the space and
Mhm.
capacity. And so be very, very mindful as you're selecting classes. If you are a junior going into your senior year, understanding to be a little bit more gentle to yourself, especially that first semester. It's like another job going into application season. It's a lot of stuff to manage yet again. And so just be kind to yourself. um, Counselors have to report your semester one transcript. So every single application that we get, we have to follow it up with a report on a updated college or high school transcript and your updated schedule. So no matter what, we will send, we have to send those two. So just be prepared for that one.
Yep. All right, let's talk briefly about Running Start, which is an awesome opportunity. So, Running Start, you might have heard the term, it's for seniors and juniors who can choose to take college level courses at local community colleges. Around here, Bellevue College, Lake Washington Tech, Cascadia. Is anybody I'm forgetting? Taylor?
I mean, up on the plateau, we've got
Is Central
CW.
still, are they still there?
Is it
I thought
so?
they had closed. I didn't think that chapter
They
was around.
very well might have. Our students don't head up there.
Yeah.
So, but I would say that Cascadia, BC, and Aldeb Tech are the most utilized by our students.
So with Running Start, a student takes courses to fulfill their high school graduation requirements and at the same time earn college credit. Lake Washington School District pays the tuition for a specific number of classes. Students are responsible for fees, books, and transportations. But if a student chooses to do full-time Running Start for junior and senior year, they can graduate with an associate degree, have 2 years of college paid for. And there's a lot, there can be a lot of benefits to it. Um, one quarter, which is 10 weeks, is the equivalent of a year of high school. So, for students who are like, oh my gosh, I really don't want to take that English class. I'm tired of English, whatever, or whatever class it is. 10 weeks and then you're done. Students can choose to go part-time or full-time. As I said, they can earn an associate degree. Now, Running Start students still apply to college as freshmen. All right. You still have to go through everything that's required for a freshman. What happens when a student is admitted to a college, they choose to offer or to accept a college's offer of admission. They send the college transcript from the community college, and then the college determines what they accept. And then, they'll say, okay, congratulations, Taylor, you are now a junior or a sophomore or second quarter, whatever they decide. So it's a great way to save money on the cost of college, which is very, very expensive. Um, some words of caution with Running Start. It is your college record. So let's say you're somebody who plans to go to graduate school, whether it be medical school, law school, whatever. What happens in that associate degree is part of your college transcript, and you are expected, to be acting as I guess an adult. Would I be right there, Taylor? Kind of.
100%. Yep. And I think that's actually, I would say that that's my biggest word of caution to all of my students. It's not for everybody. Just like any program, it's not for everybody. And that doesn't mean it's a fault of yours. What you're telling the college is that you are prepared 2 years earlier than your peers for college because they will treat you like a college student. They will have expectations like a college student. So if you can be honest with yourself as a student and say, like, yes, I can do that. I am mature and ready to manage myself in that way. Great. Uh, if you're not, that's okay. It's not,
Yeah.
might not be for
No,
you.
it's not for
And
everybody.
you can start your like the beginning of your junior year. You can also start at the beginning of your senior year. It doesn't have to be that you start it only in your junior year. You can do it for your senior year as well.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, lots of opportunities. All right, then you might have heard of WANIC, which stands for the Washington Network of Innovative Careers. Um, I'm not going to get into the weeds on this one, but there are year-long programs such as There's a
Thing,
nursing one, there's a
DigiPen.
DigiPen, there's and I don't know if you know this, but if you take the DigiPen full year WANIC program and get an A in the class, and my understanding is it's pretty hard not to get an A in the class, DigiPen gives a 50% scholarship to complete the degree there, which is pretty awesome. Anyways, there's like an aviation, there's welding, there's a culinary art, there's all sorts of full year programs. They also have summer programs, which are amazing. They're 3 weeks long. Students get a point 0.5 credit typically. Anyways, just know that WANIC is an opportunity. All right.
Because
I'm sorry. Did
because Wanted is within our district,
mhm.
that credit that you earn over the summer automatically gets put onto your student's transcript.
Yes.
So if you partake in something, if your student does something over the summer, that will come up with them whenever they complete it. Those grades go on our transcript.
Yeah. And I should say that about Running Start too. Running Start credits show up on the transcript also. So,
Yep.
all right. So now let's talk about high school classes taken in middle school. And Taylor, feel free to correct me on anything if I'm incorrect here, but um, I talked about math, and there's a track for math, and it starts Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, Pre-Calculus, Calculus. So it's not uncommon. It doesn't have to happen unless it does now. I don't know if they've changed things. But Algebra 1 and Geometry, it's not uncommon for students to take those in middle school, but they are high school level courses. Foreign language classes such as Spanish, so if a student takes Spanish 1, that is considered high school classes. They are put on a student's high school transcript, and if you're wondering, where can I find my unofficial high school transcript to see what's on there? It is in Skyward under the, you said portfolio tab. I don't have access to Skyward, so
Yeah, you can go under parent access also. But under student access, they can go to portfolio and it will have the most updated. It's just the same spot where parents would go look right now for your grade reports.
okay.
So for semester one grade report.
Okay. So uh, just going back to middle school, sometimes middle school students aren't always thinking about their high school transcript. I know my
No
son did
kidding.
it. So if a student sees their grades, maybe they got a C, and they're like, "Oh man, that's because again, it's part of your cumulative grade point average." A student does have choices, and this is one of the areas where Taylor and I can disagree a little bit. So a student has choices. They can choose to change the C grade to a pass. A student can choose to have it removed. And you can say, well, why would you want that? Well, colleges understand the track that if a student's taken Algebra 2 as a ninth grader, they know that they took Geometry and Algebra 1 prior. Um, uh, but if you so what I tell families is I wouldn't first of all you have until the end of junior year to make this decision, and once you make it you can't change it, so it is something that should be done very thoughtfully. However, what I would do is because you have to remember you've got ninth grade, 10th grade, 11th, you've got all these grades. In most cases, because I've had families do this, the impact of the middle school classes is very minor on the transcript on the GPA. Like I've had students or families go, "Oh my gosh, it's a 0.02 difference." And if that's the case, personally, I don't see the point. But um, if it did impact it dramatically, I don't know, let's say a student for all of high school has got a 4.0 and then all of a sudden they've got I don't know, 2.6. I can't imagine that ever happening, but if it did, I I would probably make the case to either change it to P or remove it. And I'll talk about this later, but students can provide context on their college applications. And I've had students say, I took that C grade off because it was negatively impacting my high school GPA. And if a college looks and says, "Oh my gosh, the kid's gotten all A's and everything else," you know what I mean? They see the proof of the pudding. Now, if a student's got, um, I don't know, if their grades don't reflect that. Anyways, you're the school counselor though. You can tell me your perspective on this.
Yeah, I would say it's becoming more. Here's next year's eighth graders
Okay.
will be the very first class in the district that will all be in Algebra 1.
Okay.
So starting with the class of 2031, my son's class, will be
Sounds
required.
so far away.
I know, right? Um, they will be required to take, or they will just be automatically enrolled as eighth graders into Algebra 1. So they're going to be taking high school level math in middle school.
Okay.
Um, I will say that for the students their um, that keep their math grades on their transcript, if they are great grades and they keep them, sure, you do you. I personally would not keep them. The point of your high school transcript is your high school grades, and the likelihood of you continuing math on is pretty high. So like for some, I think there's probably a question, I haven't seen it yet, but there's probably a question about, well, does it count towards your high school 3 years of credits that are required? Yes, it does. If you remove it, it no longer does. You are right. But the likelihood of, like, for example, if I'm just going to use my son, poor kid, um, he's going to keep going in math.
Right.
Like, he'll take geometry, he'll take algebra 2, he'll take
Yeah.
pre-calc. So he's going to get those 3 credits no matter. Like, that's going to happen. So I'm not worried about that. You also don't have to decide, like Mary Pat was saying, until spring of your junior year. So you've got time to say, okay, I know I'm going to take math maybe my senior year. I actually don't need my middle school math credits that are on there. It also then makes I had one kid, adore this child, that makes my transcript 2 pages. You're right. I don't want them. Okay, sounds good. So they've moved on off. It had no impact other than it made it 2 pages and he didn't like it because it wasn't tidy. Fine. It has absolutely zero negative impact on you from a college perspective. They do not care. These are middle school credits. It is perfectly fine. Like
Mhm.
Mary Pat said, they know the math progression. So they know you would have taken it. You can't be successful in Algebra 2 without having taken geometry in Algebra 1. So, like, it's totally fine. If you need those math credits because you are a student who only wants to take 3 credits of math, yes, you need to keep it on there because you need that for graduation. So, absolutely. For the student who is like, I don't want the C on there, but I'd like to put it as a P. If you're going to keep doing math again, I would argue why even change it to a P? Why not just get rid of it? But
Yeah.
it's your call. Like, it's a personal decision, however you want. I want to be reassured it will not negatively impact you if you change it to a P or if you remove it. It is perfectly fine.
Yeah, and every once in a while I'll talk to a student who thinks like, okay, if I take Algebra 2 as a ninth grader, then I'm done with math. That's not really, I mean, te technically, but let's just say if you're applying to UW, they're not going to that's not going to help you get in. So um, that's the math track. So, all right. So, and as I said this earlier, college applications allow students to provide context, and it could be about middle school grades if necessary. It could be, about situations that were going on, health issues, whatever. Just because life happens to everybody, and if you need to provide context, that's what you do. All right.
Can I note on that really
Sure.
quick, Mary
Uh-huh.
Pat? One thing that I think when we were talking previously about coming in and meeting your high school counselor,
Mhm.
this is probably the most important. I have had a million colleges call me throughout the year to ask about a student, to ask about grade trends on their transcript, to ask about what happened in that one semester, your 10th grade year, or tell me about this something. They have called over and over again, and it is such a missed opportunity if I can't say anything about your student. And so if I know your child, if they have come to meet me, it doesn't have to be again that something is wrong for me them to meet them. It can be everything is going right and I still want to meet them. Because if I get a college admissions person who is calling me, I want to be able to say, oh my gosh, let me tell you about them. There was this that was going on, or I know that life was really happening and they've given me permission to tell you that, like, here's what was happening. Or I will even ask a student, are you okay with me calling? I really believe in you in this, and I think that you're a really great candidate for this. Can I go ahead and give a call? They love it. To provide that context, to be
Mhm.
able to tell them, here's what's happening. Students are human just as much as anybody else. It cannot look perfect. It shouldn't look perfect. It won't
No
look
one's
perfect.
perfect.
It just won't. And so I just highly encourage your student to get to know your counselor. We are the ones who are talking to those college admission rep when they're calling us. Let us say beautiful things about your kids. Like we want to. I want them to have the opportunity. I really would like to be able to have that. So,
Thank
for what
you.
that's worth.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. All right, so let's talk about retaking classes and if a student needs to change their schedule. Again, I'm going to get on my soapbox a little bit here. So obviously, sometimes a student needs to retake a class, for whatever reason. My own son, he took he this is years ago, but he took geometry online through BYU, 2 semesters, and he was in ninth, like it was the summer between eighth and ninth grade, so he was technically a ninth grader. So it was on his high school transcript, and he got a C because well, we weren't really paying attention, and he didn't understand. Anyways, later on when he was applying to college, that C im negatively impacted his GPA. It disqualified him for a scholarship that he was looking for, and his dad and I said, "Well, if you want that scholarship, you're going to have to retake um, Geometry 1," which he did, and he got the A and so it was, it was situations like that, or students get a D. Um, I just so as far as retaking classes, I said earlier, it depends on the college. Um, some colleges, like the University of California system, they will not accept a replacement grade for anything uh, lower than the only grade they'll take a D and an F. Okay, they will replace those. If a student has a C and replace, they won't a B. And it, I just always feel so bad. When the school, report cards come out, school year comes out, and I'm seeing all these parents saying, "Oh, my child got a B plus." They they need to retake the class. No, no, they don't. A B plus, again, it should be celebrated. There is nothing wrong with a B plus. It is all the work that has to go into retaking a class. Um, there's so many better things for a student to do to use that effort and energy on. So again, it's on a situational basis, but please do not retake B plus.
No, please don't.
They, they do. I know you see it.
All the
Um,
time.
anyways, so there's a limit, right? Students can, is it 3 classes that they can retake maxima?
It's yes-ish. Like this will get me into the weeds.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, we'll just say
Uh,
3.
okay.
Any comments on retaking? Obviously, to retake a class, you have to have permission to do it.
Yes, you have to complete district specific paperwork. It's called the Appendix C. You can read about it on the district website. You can also, it's also available on your students' Skyward.
Okay, and it has to be through an approved provider, et cetera, et cetera. And
Have to be
then,
approved by administrators. Yes.
okay, so students should not retake a class and then ask for permission after the fact?
Well, a hard no.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely not. You ask for permission, fill out all of the paperwork, make sure all of the things are done, and only when you get the green light.
okay. And then what
And
would
that
you,
process, by the way, does not take 24 hours. So submitting that on 2 days before school is out is not your best plan.
okay, so plan in advance. Good to
Yes.
know. And then what about if a student needs to change a schedule? Because I know Taylor and I have done this presentation before, and a lot of work goes into creating the schedule. Students fill out their choices, and then the college or the high school builds the
Master
schedule and all
schedule
that
based
stuff.
on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we do registration, when counselors go into eighth grade classrooms and do also registration at their home high schools, um, it's a tremendous lift. We build a master schedule. Our district has like a beautiful philosophy around building a schedule that is based on student requests. So if students mindfully select the courses that they would like to take, we build it from that. Now, if every single student then decides in the fall that never mind, I don't want to take any of those classes, I want to change these and move this around and I want this, that it's not possible because we built it based on what you already registered for. Um, the algorithm is an algorithm, and so sometimes you don't get everything that you want. It's just depending on when are things offered, and then it's like the ultimate game of Tetris because then you've got stuffing and all of the things. It is near impossible to make changes. It's overwhelming. It's really hard for counselors to tell students no. And it actually doesn't even come from us, it comes from our administrator. So if we say no, it's because our bosses have said we are not doing this. So I promise it is not us. And I will just say that spend the time, invest the time in. That's why we have a course catalog. That's why it says, here's the description of the course. Here's why it tells you what the time commitment would look like so that you can mindfully select these classes that you need. Because at the semester, I know for our school, and I know, I would say that I know with confirmation, two of our comprehensive high schools, they do not do schedule changes at the semester at all. Like it's not happening, especially for year-long classes. We just don't have the seat availability in these other classes. So it's just not possible. Um, yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, let's talk about math, and then we're just about done, and we can go into questions then. So, um, I mentioned earlier about a college will look at what's offered at a high school. So, if a school's highest math class is BC, advanced placement, calculus BC, they don't expect students to be taking classes beyond that. And I just want to caution families about pushing their students too fast and furious in the math area. Math's important. It's a very important subject. I showed the different majors, and colleges like to see strong math. One of the things, and Taylor, you can disagree with me on this, but one of the things that I feel that the remote learning showed us is that math is not an easy class to be taught remotely. I
Right there with you.
yeah, saw a lot of impact. And what I see happening is that students will rush ahead in the summertime to jump ahead in math classes. So then you have sophomores taking AP Calculus AB, and they've crammed pre-calculus in the summer. Um, and I talk to these kids, and I'll look at their transcript. I'm like, well, how's that calculus class? Oh, I have a D. And it's like, and anyways, it's please do not rush the math. There are so many better things for that'll make a student stronger on their college applications, exploring their interests and activities and things like that to do. Let them have some downtime, but cramming the math over the summer is just not it because it's foundational and it builds on each other. I was talking to a student last night. I won't say what class it was. He was retaking a class, a year-long class, and he's getting an A in the retaking. And I said, "Oh, are you learning it?" And he said, "No, I'm not learning it at all, but I'm getting an A." And it's like, well, and what a waste of time in my opinion, spending all that time to try to do this stuff. But uh, so because it's foundational, it just builds on each other. The only class that if I were to say, okay, I see where a student might want to get ahead, would probably be geometry, and it's because it's not foundational and it's not used. Again, my own son did geometry, but your thoughts on math?
I I mean, I agree with you on most all of that. Doing any sort of foundational class over the summer to try and smash it into this small amount of time, or even those who try and do it during the school year to add yet another responsibility on to what already exists. It's just not a great plan.
Yeah,
You don't learn the foundational skills that you need to. It ends up catching up with you. Just because your kid enjoys and is good at math right now doesn't mean that they are going to be good and enjoy math 3 years from now.
right.
So there is no rush.
Hmm.
There is absolutely no rush whatsoever. Um, there's plenty of math, there's plenty of time, there's plenty of space, there's plenty of opportunity. I mean, it
Yeah,
just is, it's not necessary. And I see more um not damage because it's that's the wrong word, but I feel like it ends up being more work in the long run because then students are thinking, oh shoot, now I need to make this one up because I didn't do as well at this, or now I've got this extra tutor because I don't
right.
understand this as well. It just it feels
Yeah,
like it's more of a time suck in the end. It's a short-term solution
right.
for a long-term yuck.
Well, and the other thing too, especially for college programs where they want students to have calculus, let's say a student maxes out at advanced placement calculus BC as a junior, and then they can take AP stats next year if they want to, that's fine. But what happens is there's like a 18-month gap between taking calculus and then when they go off to college, they've most likely have forgotten a lot of what they learned. So there's just a lot of possible downsides. So, oh,
Yeah.
go on.
Well, I was also just going to say, like, there's enough space in their schedule for
Yeah.
all of the graduation requirements. There's
Yeah.
enough space. There is no need to do anything actually outside. Um,
And if a student loves math, there's activities that they can do to explore math, or they could take a summer class. I mean, there's certainly things, but and the last thing, I think this is actually the last slide. So I do want to make the point. This is from the University of Washington. So again, there's the 3 years of math. University of Washington and many other colleges, they like to see a math-based course in senior year. Now, let's say a student junior year takes pre-calculus and they're done with their math classes. They do they do like to see a math-based class. Now, the student could choose to take the next class, which is calculus, and then that would count. But if the student didn't want to, they could do statistics, they could do a physics class, they could do a chemistry class, they could do a computer science class. And they're very specific here, but just know that so I usually tell students, I'm like, save that stats class for senior year, or maybe save your physics, like just have something in your pocket so that all of a sudden you're not like, oh my gosh, I've taken every math-based course available, and I have nothing left. So just wanted to bring that up. And then, okay. There is another one. Okay, I'm turning this over to you because this is not my skill set. But so Taylor, talk a little bit about how students can fulfill graduation requirements outside of the traditional high school schedule.
tell me more about that. What do you mean?
Well, okay, so PE, or if a student wants to, um, uh, like let's say a student wants to do orchestra for 4 years. Is there are there issues with the 24 credits? Because again, I see people chatter on the Facebook page where they want to fulfill their PE requirements outside of taking a PE
Right.
class. So,
Well, so here's what I will say is I was just working on this, or I'm working with our Cambridge program on some stuff, and they made these most beautiful like mock schedules. I think they did like 10 of them to
okay.
show everything fits. If you are somebody who is into band, here's the 4-year planner how you can still fit everything in. Here's how, if you are really into AP courses, here's a mock schedule for 4 years that shows all of these AP courses and still everything fits. We've done such a beautiful job at making things count in those dual
Mhm.
categories that we were talking about,
Mhm.
those CTE and other credit categories, that it makes it possible for you to fill those boxes sooner than you would assume. So, like, even our sports medicine class fills PE and CTE.
Yes, I saw that. That's cool.
It's amazing. It's wonderful. Our health classes, they now count for health and CTE. So we have an insane number of students who are into going into chiropractic or sports medicine, physical therapy. These are requirements for those pathways. So you're meeting your graduation requirements for PE and health, and also taking classes towards your graduation or towards your post high school plan. So there's space for everything. There really is. I think what happens is people get fearful that there won't be enough space, and there really is enough space, and so they try and get like everything out of the way like now, so that it like frees up and there's like all this openness. I will say for PE specifically, students cannot access a the PE waiver until spring of their junior year, so you cannot fill it out, you cannot submit it, they won't be signed, any of those things, until spring of your junior year, because the intention is you have space.
Okay.
You do. Maybe you're choosing, you are saying, I don't want to, but you do have space. These are state graduation
Yeah.
requirements.
Oh, I'm a big fan of PE. I think it's an important
And
part.
and yeah. Um, Same to be said for, I suppose, like these other PPRs that we were talking about, like world language or for art. Um, if you're saying, hey, I'm not going to take this one because I want to make more space for TA position, that's not a great plan.
Okay.
It's not a good plan, and it happens more often than not. So there's plenty of space. We don't have to worry about it. In 2016, we switched to from 6 periods to 7 periods. I was at LW at that time when we made that shift. It was a huge shift. We were graduating students at the exact same rate then. So everybody was getting all the graduation requirements then
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. My kids were six period kids,
Period dayers.
and there's a lot of school districts that are six periods too. So
Yeah. One
yeah.
thing I will say is we get asked this quite a bit about, hey, if my student is playing, a sport outside of school, that'll count for their PE. It doesn't. And it doesn't count for your high school credit. That's not your high school graduation. The last year that was able to be done was 2015, going into the 2016 year because there was space. So that's not an option. Have your kid take PE.
I had to take swimming, which was traumatic.
Delightful.
I
That
know.
sounds delightful. Like have a break in your day, meet some new people, go outside and walk, get vitamin D. Like these are good
Yeah.
things. Like this is balance that we're talking about. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. I agree with you.